Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks. Hi, welcome to Money Talks. Today we're at the Gateway Technical College's Fab Lab in the S.C. Johnson IMET building with Greg Herker. You're the program coordinator, that's your title?
Correct.
For the Fab Lab. And there's some really interesting things happening in this building. But as a reference point, I wanted to tell people who may not know, this is the old Cat-Eye building in Renaissance Business Park. And this used to be actually a business incubator space. And in early 2013, it became the Fab Lab, or yes, Fabrication Lab. Let's give people some idea of the uniqueness of this place. How many other places like this exist where someone, either a student or an actual business, could get a part made on a 3D printer?
Well, right now, the Fab Lab is kind of a network, a loose network that was started several years ago out of MIT in Boston. Right now, there are approximately probably 200 Fab Labs around the world. It's an international organization. There's several in the United States. There's probably equal those in Europe, Africa. There's some in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. How many in Wisconsin?
2.
Mm-hmm. So 1 of 2 in Wisconsin. So that's pretty cool. Right here, we are looking at a 3D printer, and you guys have how many 3D printers in this?
I have 4 3D printers at our Fab Lab. Mm-hmm. A couple different technologies.
Mm-hmm. And what can you actually print parts with? This isn't like the highest level of industrial 3D printing, correct?
No. For our 3D printers here, typically what we're going to do here is not actual working parts. What we do mostly is models. So 3D printing is usually taken, there's a 3D design involved. Somebody has designed a part or something, and they want to see form and fit, or how things might fit together and work. These models are really a nice way to do that. I'm a little limited in materials. This printer prints with what would be a traditional ABS plastic, and my size limitation, this is my build area. I have to fit in this little plate. So it's about a 5-inch cube.
Why don't you show a couple of things? This is, well, I'll show us something that you have here. This is an actual working crescent wrench, which is...
That was printed, that's actually 3 different parts in design software and in SolidWorks. Those parts were brought together as a single assembly and printed as a single unit.
And then this one is really quite amazing. This is an actual bicycle chain of plastic that came off one of your printers.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some real world examples now, because the thing that most interests me is that you have real businesses or startups that are coming to you and saying, make something for me. So let's talk about this one.
Yeah, the kinds of things we're doing, like I said, former fit models, or we're assisting in prototyping. This is from an area company called Thorcast. Who's an engineer who worked in the field of, he worked with precast concrete. Like our building is made out of precast concrete, the whole siding. And he had this idea, they were just using basic 2x4s for the forms. He thought he could make...
The forms that they were pouring concrete
That they were pouring the concrete, right, for the slabs. And he thought, we always had to change sizes, and they wanted different holes so they could slide in rebar and
Flexibility.
and different things they wanted to do. And he thought, well, these should be made out of aluminum, and I can have these available because I can stack them. So he designed some. Well, to make them for him, pretty expensive. We were talking 12-foot aluminum forms that had to be produced for him. So he went out, needed to obviously sell the job first before he could do that. He was having trouble doing that. He'd show people the design and say, well, that's kind of a neat idea, but they had trouble getting it. So he came to us and he said, can you just help? I just need some models so I can show these.
I'm going to hold this up as you describe this.
So we made the models, and then he made a whole variety of them. They could stack, he could adjust the sizes, and that made a huge difference in him selling his first jobs.
Yeah. And then, by the way, and this is the real product that was made from
that's
this.
That's a section, right. The real product would be 12 feet long.
Yeah. So that was a real step in getting him, in that case, to be able to sell some jobs. You, at this point, let's talk about, just briefly about what does it cost for someone like that? He's clearly a businessman, and this is worth something. So what does it cost to do a job?
Just to do some basic models with us, he spent only about $200.
Wow, that's cheap.
To do some basic.
What's the range in cost when somebody comes to you and wants something made?
Anything from a couple $100 to I've made some very detailed engine parts for a local manufacturer that ran up to $800.
Okay.
But it saved them several thousand, they said, because they would have had to send these out, be cast and milled, and they got the actual model, which was all they required for the time for their design.
Well, I think now you're getting into the second example, right? The American Metal Technologies?
Correct.
So give a little more information about that. They were doing work for Ford Motor Company, and this is for a new generation of the Mustang, and they were going to be, well, you take the story from there.
Well, Ford is they're a supplier, and Ford, demands more and more from their suppliers. And one issue they were having was time frames to design their products were getting very tight. And so what they had was some drawings of what these new parts were that their parts were going to attach to. Okay, but they didn't have the part yet. So they said, we kind of want to anticipate some moves they're going to make and things they're going to ask us to do. So we have the drawings, let's make a model of the part, and we'll start doing our basic design and seeing what we can get done ahead of time so we can do a lot of pre-work.
So again, so you guys made the part that American Metal Technologies parts were going to attach to, so they could actually play with this thing, see how their parts were going to fit, and be ready to start cranking these things out when Ford said go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the last example is actually this one I think is really a fun story. Tell the story about the Parkside student who wants to start a business.
Local Parkside student, and we are starting now to have several kind of inventor, entrepreneur types come to us and help us with prototyping, because that's really an expensive part of getting your invention off the ground. Well, this was a Parkside student who had a debilitating injury, actually, to their wrist area.
And he broke his wrist, right?
Correct. And he was unable to take notes in class. He was struggling, with the cast and everything. So he's created a device which is in its final stages of getting patent approval with the patent attorney, and we've been with him through several generations of prototyping to get him ready for the patent process.
And what will the device do?
It basically is an assist that will help a person write or things like brushing your teeth, combing your hair.
That sounds incredibly useful.
Yeah, and
for somebody in that.
We're thinking, the debilitating injury or arthritis, people who are struggling with those issues. This device will help them. So, and what we also offer here, which is really, really unique to the Fab Lab community, is we have business related services. So So this gentleman comes in. We're not just helping him with the Fab Lab and prototyping, but we also have business assistance services. We have
You mean in this building, this IMET building?
Right, in this facility.
Right, RCEDC.
Our CEDC is here, SCORE's here.
Small Business Development Center?
Yes,
they
there
have
is.
a presence, right?
They are.
Yeah.
From UW Parkside, they're starting to set some office hours. We have Katie Walker, who does Growth Wheel Consulting.
Yeah.
So that's an important part, that we're not just helping with the prototyping. We have resources all here that they can come and take advantage of to help get that company started.
That's a
moving
perfect
forward.
marriage. Is that the reason
Yes.
that you're in this building?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
to us, it makes sense. We don't have to send people all over the place. Because entrepreneurs, inventors, startups, a lot of them, you can have the best idea, but if you can't get some business services behind it, be through marketing, do you need assistance in financing? Those kind of things make the difference in them monetizing that.
Sure. Now, how do businesses find you?
Well, they can call me up, 262-903-0402, or send me an email. And we have a Fab Lab. If you go to the Gateway Technical College website, there's a whole section on the Fab Lab, and all my contact info is there. And they can follow up with me, and we're happy to help them.
All right, very nice. Greg Herker, thanks for being on the show. You're the program coordinator for the Fab Lab and a great contact for businesses. And by the way, we didn't really stress this, but students are involved in many of these things, so it's a great learning tool.
Yep.
Thanks a lot for being on the show. Thanks for watching Money Talks.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.